Okay, so hopefully everyone can hear me. Okay, so I decided, so see, since the last Zoom lesson had to be ended early, I decided to continue the lesson, but this time I'm not letting anyone into the meeting room. And I'll explain the reasons for that in the description, so I'm not going to waste time explaining it now. So I'm the only one who's going to be in the meeting, and I locked the meeting so no one else can come in. And I'll just continue with the exercises because I promised that we do exercises on pronoun cases, but since stuff happened, I have to split this into two parts. So don't worry, you guys will still get your exercises. This time, I'm just going to go through them one at a time and then wait for your input, like allow you to pause the video for a moment, and then you can just, continue and then see if you got the answer right. Okay, because I don't want, I pulled up a lot of these lessons, a lot of these exercises, and I don't want these to go to waste. Okay, and let me close out of that. Okay, so now let us go ahead and begin. Okay, so let's start with this exercise. Choosing the correct pronoun case. In each of the following sentences, there are drop-down option menus where you must select the appropriate pronoun form. Submit the quiz using the check answers button at the end of the exercise. Incorrect answers will be marked with an X, and correct answers will get a sideways grin. The computer will also give you the percentage of correct answers. If you miss any, retake the quiz by reloading the quiz until you get them all correct. Okay. Number one, it's up to blank geologists to warn the people of impending volcanic activity. So here we have us and we. So pause the video for a moment and try to think of what the answer is. I'll wait 5 seconds. Okay, so the correct answer is us geologists, because us geologists is the object of the preposition up to. Number two, the principal made Jaden and blank repair the damage to the auditorium wall. So here we have I and me. So choose which one you think is the correct answer. And again, pause the video and I'll wait 5 seconds. So the correct answer here would be me, because both Jaden and me are the direct objects of the verb made. The principal made Jaden and me repair the damage to the auditorium wall. Okay, perfect. Number three, the writers of the bylaws, Mickey and blank, presented the report to the Senate. So here we have he, comma, and him, comma. So again, pause the video and try to think of what the answer is. Okay, so the correct answer is he, because he and Mickey are renaming the subject, the writers of the bylaws. I'm sorry, my ear was itchy. Okay, number four. If it were up to Marilyn and blank, the room would have been painted yellow. So here we have I and me. So again, pause the video and try to think of the correct answer. Okay, so the correct answer is me. Because again, we have Marilyn and me, both of which are the objects of the preposition up to. Jose, Mary, and blank rode their bikes all the way to New Hampshire. So here we have him and he. So pause the video and think of what the answer is. Okay, so the answer here is he, because Josie, Mary, and he are the subjects of this sentence. Number six, the boss was worried that blank secretaries wouldn't do the work without additional compensation. Okay, so we have we and us. So pause the video and think of what the answer is. Okay, so the correct answer is actually we and not us, because we secretaries is the subject of this whole clause here. Secretaries, that's the subject of this whole part here. So if you're going to put if you're going to put a pronoun in front of secretaries to modify it, like we secretaries or us secretaries, you would need to say we, because we is a subject pronoun. You can't use us. Us doesn't sound right. So we secretaries wouldn't do the work. Okay, number 7. The family's running out of money, but that's a secret between his mother and blank. So here are our answers. He, period, and him, period. Think of which one the correct answer is. Okay, so the correct answer is him, between his mother and him. So, because him and his mother are the objects of the preposition between. Okay, number 8. I really don't appreciate blank walking late into class every morning. So here we have you and your. This one's a bit tricky, so pause the video and think about it carefully. Remember what I talked about earlier with possessive gerunds. You have to watch the part 1 of this lesson if you don't understand what I'm talking about. So again, pause the video and think about the answer. Okay, so the correct answer is your. Remember, I'm not appreciating, it's not that I'm not appreciating you, it's that I'm appreciating your action of walking late into class every morning. So because walking late into class every morning belongs to you, this form should be your. So I really don't appreciate your walking late into class every morning. 9. The only students in the cafeteria this morning were Jaden and I or me. Okay, pause the video and think about the answer carefully. Remember what I talked about earlier about predicate nominatives. Okay, so the correct answer is I. The only students in the cafeteria this morning were Jaden and I. Because I and Jaden rename the noun the only students. So because this is a subject, these two are also subjects, Jaden and I. Number 10, I don't want anybody but blank working on this project. So which one is it? She or her? Again, pause the video and think about the answer. Okay, so the answer here is her. I don't want anybody but her working on this project because her is the object of the verb want. I don't want her. I want her. I want her working on this project. Okay, so now that we have that, let us check our answers. And we got a 100. See? Yay! So we got smiley faces everywhere. I could erase these, but I'm not going to. Okay. So that was the first exercise. Now let's go to the second exercise. So, pronoun case exercise number 1. Directions. Read the item below. Choose the appropriate pronoun case. Download the accompanying handout to keep track of your answers. And yada, yada, all that stuff. Okay, so number 1. To complete our Egyptian mummy costumes, Lou, Ellen, and there really should be a comma here. Actually, maybe Lou Ellen is a single name, but whatever. Lou Ellen and blank bought a 12-pack of toilet paper. So pause the video and try to think of what you think the answer is here. Okay, so the answer here is I, because I is the subject here. Lou, Ellen, and I, those two are the subjects. of this whole part here because we both bought a 12-pack of toilet paper. Let's keep going. Number 2, it was blank who ate your leftover slices of pepperoni pizza. Another slightly tricky one. Pause the video and try to think of the answer. Okay, so the answer here is actually I, because I renames the pronoun it. Oops. It renames the pronoun it in this sentence. It was I who ate your leftover slices of pepperoni pizza. People would actually more often say me, but for the sake of this lesson, I'm going to show you the more technically precise way of teaching these pronouns. Okay, so the more precise way of using these pronouns, I mean. But again, me isn't exactly wrong, but for this exercise, we're just going to be as technically correct as possible. So in this case, it would be I. Grandma asked my brother and blank. Oops, sorry. Let me disconnect this. Okay. Grandma asked my brother and blank to buy cherry cough drops while we were at the drugstore. So which one is it? I, me, or myself? Again, choose pause the video and choose the answer. So in this case, it would be me, because me is the direct object. Me and my brother are the direct objects of the verb asked. So you would say, Grandma asked my brother and me to buy cherry cough drops while we were at the drugstore. Easy enough. Number 4, that's not what happened. It was blank who shoved straws up my nose and began barking like a walrus. Okay, pause the video and think of the answer. Okay, so the answer here is I, because again, I renames the pronoun it. When I was a child, Grandma was unhappy with blank excavating his rose garden in hopes of finding dinosaur bones. So we have me, mine, myself. Choose the answer you think is correct. Make sure you pause the video first. Okay, so the answer here is my, because Grandpa is not unhappy with me, he's unhappy with my action of excavating his rose garden. So because excavating belongs to me, because this verb here, excavating, since it belongs to me, I have to use my to show possession. Because again, this is a possessive gerund, my excavating. Oops. Okay. Don't ask Josephine for her sloppy and ill-prepared homework. It is a blank who can give you all the correct answers to Mr. Nguyen's calculus homework. I'm sorry if I just butchered that name. Anyway, we have 3 choices here, I, me, and myself. Pause the video and choose the correct choice. Okay, so the answer here is actually I, because again, it renames the pronoun it. It is I who can give you all the correct answers. Okay, number 7. In his sternest voice, Professor Cohen told Matthew and blank that he wanted to see us after class. Pause the video and think of the correct answer. Okay, so the answer here is actually me, because Matthew and me are the direct objects of the verb told. Or, well, would it be direct or indirect here? No, I would say it'd be indirect here. I'm sorry, it should be indirect here. They'd both be indirect because the direct object would be that he wanted to see us after class. But the indirect objects here would be Matthew and me. Okay. But either way, it's the object. When Richard started eating my French fries, I pulled the plate closer and told him they were all mine. or mine's? Which one do you think is the correct answer? Pause the video and think. Okay, so the correct answer here is mine, because mine's doesn't actually exist in the English language. I mean, you might occasionally hear some people saying that, but it's wrong. It's not mine's, it's mine. Mine's is never correct. Our boss called both Shane and blank, hoping that we would work an extra shift that evening. When we saw the number on caller ID, we decided not to answer. Okay, so which one would it be here? Pause the video and think. Okay, so the correct answer here is me, because both Shane and me are the direct objects of the verb called. He called us, essentially. I admit that I ate your last 2 eggs. Considered payback for blank finding an empty cereal box and milk carton this morning. So we have me, mine, myself. Pause the video and try to think. Okay, so this would actually be mine, because finding an empty cereal box and milk carton this morning, that is an action that belongs to me, so I need the possessive case. If you're wondering what the difference is between my and mine, let me annotate for a moment. So my is essentially an adjective. Mine is used for nouns. So that's really the main difference between the two. Mine is an adjective, but mine is used for nouns. So you can't say it is my. You have to say it is mine. But you can't say it is mine hair. You would say it is my hair. So let me provide a quick example. It is my versus it is mine. And then you have okay, so this is not correct. You can't use my like that. It has to be it is mine, because here mine is functioning as a replacement for a noun. But you can't say it is mine hair here, because here we need an adjective for the noun hair. So it would be it is my hair. So basically mine can be by itself, but my can't be by itself, if that makes sense. That might be an easier way to think about it. So you would say it is mine and it is my hair, but not it is my and it is mine hair. Okay, so let's just erase all that. Yeah, okay, erase all that. Cool. If you must have anchovies, order your own pie. Loretta and blank prefer plain cheese pizza. So, I'm sorry, I thought I heard someone for a moment. Okay, so what do you think the answer is? Pause the video and figure it out. Okay, so the correct answer here would be I, because Loretta and I are the subjects of the sentence. Loretta and I prefer plain cheese pizza, not Loretta and me prefer plain cheese pizza. Although some people will say things like, me and Loretta prefer plain cheese pizza, but no. Because if you take out Loretta, then me wouldn't make sense by itself. So don't say Loretta and me, or me and Loretta prefer plain cheese pizza. Okay. It is important to Julie and blank that Dad offers a vegetarian alternative to the pork fest that is his current menu for the family reunion picnic. Okay, so would it be I, me, or myself? Pause the video and figure it out. Okay, so the answer here is me, because we have Julie and me, which are both objects of the preposition to. Number 13, don't drag me into the argument. Blank choosing one side over the other will just make everyone mad at me. So is it me, my, or myself? Pause the video and figure it out. Okay, so the answer here would be my, because choosing one side over the other is an action that belongs to me. So I need the possessive case. Number 14, although Dr. Grayson shot us several stern looks, Tawana and Blank continued knitting during the boring lecture on the French Revolution. So pause the video and figure out the answer. Okay, so in this case, we have I, because Tawana and I are the subjects of this sentence. Tawana and I continued knitting during the boring lecture on the French Revolution. Judy bought a tray of perfect cupcakes to the bake sale. Blank, on the other hand, were lopsided with drippy frosting and stale sprinkles. Pause the video and choose the correct answer. Okay, so the answer here would be mine, because mine's, again, doesn't exist. Just between you and Blank, Selena should dump Fred the nose picker and date that cute track star in our chemistry class. So what is the answer here? Pause the video and figure it out. Okay, so the correct answer here would be me, because me is the object pronoun. It's an object of the preposition between. So you and me are both objects of the preposition between. If you don't like Blank criticizing your sappy poetry, then don't ask for an honest opinion. Okay, so pause the video and choose the correct answer. Okay, so the answer here would be my, because criticizing your sappy poetry is an action, a gerund, that belongs to me. So we need the possessive case, my. Okay, number 18. On our afternoon walk at the lake, Blank met Jake, a bloodhound with drool sickles dripping from his jowls. So which one is it? Pause the video and think. Okay, so the answer here is Oreo and I, because we're both the subjects of the sentence here. Oreo and I met Jake, not me and Oreo or Oreo and myself. And there's one thing I want to point out here. So we don't use, see, some people will say me and Oreo, but that just doesn't work. Because think about it. If you take out Oreo here, let's say that Oreo here is taken out. If you take out Oreo and the word and, you just have me, right? You just have me. So would you say me met Jake? Is that right? Would you honestly say me met Jake? No, you wouldn't. You would say I met Jake. So it has to be Oreo and I. I mean, you could technically also say I and Oreo, but that just, people really strongly prefer that you place I after the other subject. So in this case, we would say Oreo and I. And please don't use myself in that manner. We don't use myself like that as a subject of anything. Myself is only to be used when you're referring, like when the subject is the same as the object. So when you say I hurt myself, you are the direct object, but you are also the subject of the sentence. So you have to use myself. You can't say I hurt me. You have to say I hurt myself. And I'll go more into this later, but I want to finish this exercise first. Number 19, we don't care if you feel superior eating a healthy spinach salad for lunch. Blank are happier splitting this sausage and mushroom pizza. So this is the same as before. That's your hint. So pause the video and figure it out. because this is very similar to the last question. Okay, so I'll pause the video. Awesome. So the answer here is Waldo and I, because we're both the subjects of this sentence. Waldo and I are happier splitting this sausage and mushroom pizza. The crackle from the the crackle from the cellophane bag gave away blank position in the auditorium. We stopped chewing the popcorn, hoping Professor Wright didn't notice that we were breaking his no food policy. Sorry. Okay, so here you would say what? Pause the video and figure it out. Okay, so the best answer here would be the first one. So it would be Fred's and my, because both of you, the position in the auditorium belongs to both of you. So both Fred and my need to be in the possessive. But remember, nouns don't have cases in English, so we just use an apostrophe S to show possession. So Fred's and my. Although in a sense, you could say that the second one also works, because there are some contexts where that could work. So you could say, I wish you never joined me and my friend's team. You could technically say that, but you could say that actually, and it would be grammatically correct. But for this lesson, we're just going to focus on using both forms in the possessive to make the idea clearer. So that's that. Let's go ahead and share my whiteboard. Okay, so remember, with possessive pronouns, you have my, mine, your, yours, his, it's the same, hers, her and hers, it's and its, and I'm trying to think, our and ours. You, for you all, it's you, your, and yours, and their and theirs. So the first word is an adjective. Let me not put that there, actually. The first word is an adjective, whereas the second word is used in place of a noun. So the first one, my, your, his, her, its, our, your, their, are all for adjective. They're all meant to be used as adjectives. Whereas mine, yours, his, hers, its, ours, yours, theirs are all used to be to replace nouns. So again, I bring up the example. You would say, this bottle is versus. Again, this sentence here doesn't work because you can't use my like that. It has to be, this is an adjective, not something that can replace a noun. So mine here works because mine replaces this bottle or renames this bottle. So this bottle is mine, not this bottle is mine. And then you have this. Again, this doesn't quite work because you can't use mine like that. Mine is meant to replace a noun. It can't describe a noun. So, or rename a noun, I should say. It can rename a noun or replace a noun, however you want to say it, but it can't describe a noun. But my can describe a noun. So in this case, my's describing room because the room belongs to me. And there you go. So, and so my room, the whole thing, my room here, renames that. Okay. That's that. Okay. I could just use the eraser. Oh, no. I keep forgetting that I keep accidentally erasing things here because this box has borders that overlap like these words right here. So that's why I keep accidentally erasing everything. So let me just go ahead and do that. Okay. And again, the same logic goes for all the other possessive pronouns. So you would say, like for theirs, you could say, this project is theirs, or this is their project. So either of these works. So here we have a possessive pronoun acting as a noun, as a replacement, or acting as renaming the noun. I'm sorry. You have a possessive pronoun here that renames the noun this project, but you have, but you have there here acting as an adjective for project. And it describes project. So that's how possessive pronouns work. You have the first one here is on this list. The first one is an adjective. The second one is meant to rename or replace a noun. Okay. So that's that. Okay, so to hold up. Okay. There was something else I wanted to mention. Okay, yeah. So regarding those examples earlier, let's say we have an example like this. This is not grammatically correct. It's just not. The second one is grammatically correct, but the first one is not. And I say this because if you take out and Jim and just leave me, well, does that make any sense? Me went to the store? No. So if you have problems understanding when to use me and when to use I, just take out the other the other subject here. Like if you have more than one subject in the sentence, in this case, the second subject is Jim, just take that out and see if the sentence makes sense. So if we take out Jim here, along with the word and, I went to the store makes perfect sense, but me went to the store does not. So this whole thing here, let me. So this whole thing here is correct, but this whole thing here is not. And it's not really just that people often say. Sometimes you'll hear people say, her and Susie did their homework, when it really should be she and Susie did their homework. Because, that's the problem with English. Pronoun cases, nobody knows how they work anymore. So if you take this out, then this doesn't make any sense. But if you take this out, then this does make sense. So she and Susie did their homework. This is fine. She and Susie did their homework. This is fine. Her and Susie did their homework. This is not fine. So again, try not to mix up these cases. Okay, let's erase that. All of that. Okay. I don't think there's anything else I want to mention. Let's just go back to this right here. Okay, so we did that exercise, so let's move on to the next one. Oh, wait, one more thing I want to explain before we continue. One more thing. Let me share the whiteboard again. Okay, so let me erase that. Okay, so now I didn't talk about reflexive pronouns yet. Reflexive pronouns. They're essentially, I wouldn't consider them a separate case. It's really when you just add the ending self to the pronoun. To the pronoun. That's how you would form a reflexive pronoun. So my plus self equals myself. Simple enough, right? Okay. But what about your and self? How would you form that one? So pause the video and think about how you would form that one. Okay, so the correct answer here is yourself. That's how you would form it. Okay, but what about, him plus self? What do you think it is? Pause the video and try to figure it out. Okay, so the correct answer would be himself, right? It's himself. And again, let me point out that you cannot say his self. This is not standard English. You might hear some people say it, but that's not right. It's himself, not his self. You can't say his self. Oh, whoops. Okay. So let's erase that horrible mess. Okay. Now let's do her. So her plus self would be, okay, so this is the last one I'm going to ask you to do before I just finish the rest. So pause the video and figure it out. Okay, herself is the correct answer. So now let me go ahead and do the others. Oh wait, actually, I forgot to do one. So what would the answer here be? Oh, actually, I'll just type that in. It would be itself. Okay, so these are the singular ones. But what about the plural ones? With the plural ones, you actually add the word cells. So So if singular, you add the ending self to the pronoun. But you add the ending selves to the pronoun if the pronoun is plural. Okay. I just wanted to add the it is part here so that to make things less confusing for learners. Okay, so here we have our and selves, which would be our selves. Knowing this, what do you think your and selves is? What do you think that is? Pause the video and try to figure it out. Okay, so the answer here would be yourselves. And then we have right, they, them, plus selves. What do you think the answer is? So pause the video and figure it out. Okay, so the answer would be themselves. So that is that's how you would form everything. So their selves, let me point this out. Their selves is not correct. This is not standard English. Their selves is not correct, so don't do that. Now, regarding stuff like himself, let me move this. Regarding stuff like himself and themselves, if you want to say something like he's back to his old self, then it would make sense to have his and self because these are separate words now. He's back to his old self, but not he's back, not himself. Like, I mean, his self. You can't say his self, but you can say his old self. It's the same thing here. Oh, wait, no. They are back to their old selves. It's the same concept here. In this case, you could have their and selves, but you can't have them together. So when they're apart like this, separated by an adjective like old, then it makes sense then. So he's back to his old self, and they are back to their old selves, but not their selves and his self. And I should also point out that in English, you can have this. We have what's called the singular they, and this means that it can replace he or she as the subject. Because over time, it can get really annoying to write he or she several times over and over and over again. So instead of saying something like, the next student will have his or her exam on Monday. He or she should prepare for it. So instead of a sentence like this, here, let me move this. Okay. Okay, so instead of a sentence like, instead of using his or her and he or she, which is grammatically correct, but again, it's kind of wordy, you could actually say this. The next student will have their exam on Monday. They should prepare for it. And it's fine to actually do that here. You can actually do that. So as long as the context makes it clear what they is referring to, you can have a sentence like that. So you can have their and they instead of his or her and he or she. So either one is fine, but let's see. This one, is fine but wordy, whereas this one is less wordy and just as fine. Side a bit. Okay, so the first one is fine but a little wordy, whereas the second one is less wordy, but it works just as well. Okay, so, but the reflexive pronouns, I should point out, are not, we don't consider them separate cases, as I said earlier. It's just a way of, referring back to ourselves when the object is the same as the subject. And for the singular, and that's just a comment I wanted to make about the singular they. Sometimes you can use they to replace he or she as the subject, but this is only when the gender of the student is not known. So you can't say, let me erase this. So you cannot say, let's say that Martha is a girl. You cannot say Martha left their book bag downstairs. You can't say that because this does not agree with the noun Martha. So you can't say Martha left their book bag downstairs. You can only use the singular they if the gender is unknown. If the gender of the person is unknown. So to be grammatically standard, it should be Martha left her book bag downstairs. So that's an important point to make. So two important points to make. The singular they, and it's really just one point, is acceptable only if the gender of the referent, which is just a fancy name of saying what the pronoun is referring to. So only if the gender of the referent is unknown. So that's the only time when the singular they is acceptable. That's something to keep in mind. So you can use it to refer to one person, but only if the person's gender is not known. So again, the singular they is acceptable only if the gender of the referent is unknown. So don't use it when you do know someone's gender. That's not standard. Okay, so that's all I want to say on that. Now, to go back to reflexive pronouns, remember, we use reflexive pronouns when the subject is the same as the object. For example, I hurt myself. The direct object is right here, but it's also the same as the subject here. I hurt myself because I am both the subject and the direct object of this sentence. So that's why we have to use myself. We can't say I hurt me. That doesn't make any sense. I hurt me is not grammatically correct. Because since we're referring to, since the subject is the same as the object here, the direct object, we have to use the reflexive to refer back to ourselves. I hurt myself, not I hurt me. But be careful with how you use myself. Do not use it like this. And some people do this, but don't do this. Please see Mrs. Field and myself. This is not grammatically correct. Don't ever say this. You can't use myself like that because myself works only when the subject, I, is the same as the direct object. And this works with every reflexive pronoun, not just myself. So please see Mrs. Field and myself. No, it should be please see Mrs. Field and me. This is the correct way to say it. You would use me because I'm the direct object of the sentence along with Mrs. Field, but I'm not the subject of the sentence. The subject of the sentence is you. It's implied because this is the imperative. See is the imperative form of the verb to see. And in this case, the subject is implied to be you. In the imperative form, the subject is you. It's usually not expressed unless you want to emphasize a command or who should be doing the command. But yeah, I just wanted to say that. Okay, so be careful with how you use reflexives. You can use them when the subject and the object are the same. Do not use them when they're not. Okay. Knowing this, let me just shorten that. Okay, oops. No, not what I meant to do. Okay. I think that's all I want to say on that topic. Yeah, okay, so let's go ahead and do another lesson, not lesson, exercise. Hold on for a moment. Let me just, no, okay, never mind. Okay, new share, we shall share this. Okay, so pronoun case. Case refers to the way a pronoun functions in the sentence. As a subject, nominative case, as an object, objective case, or to show possession, possessive case. Pronouns must be used in the proper case form. Remember, subjects are nouns or pronouns that take an action, while objects are nouns or pronouns that are acted upon. So for more information, see pronoun case, but we already know that. I explained pretty much all I can about it. So in the exercise below, select the proper pronoun to complete each sentence. You may click on each hint button for guidance, but try to figure out the solution on your own first. When you have completed the exercise, click on the Mark Quiz button to automatically grade your work. The passing mark is 80%, but keep trying until you get them all correct and understand why your answers are correct. Oh, but before we do that, I forgot to mention one more thing. Sorry, I'm just forgetful today. So regarding the singular they, if you want to use it as a reflexive, let me fix this. It would be themselves and not themselves. So if you're using the singular they and you want it to be a reflexive, then you could say themselves, and that would be fine. So for example, whoever the person was, they seriously hurt themselves in that car accident. So here you could say themselves to refer to they. That's fine if this is the singular they. So remember, for the singular they, you can actually use themselves. So whoever the person was, they seriously hurt themselves in that car accident. In that case, themselves is fine. So that's just something I wanted to bring up. Okay, now we can do the exercise. I don't think there's anything else I can say about pronoun cases. I think I said everything I need to say about them. Okay, new share. Perfect. Okay. So let's go ahead and start the exercise. I think I'm probably going to do this. I have 8 exercises set up, but I don't really feel like doing all of them, especially since I have to do something pretty soon, like within the next 30 minutes or so. So I'm really going to like maybe go through 2 more exercises and that'll be it. Like 4 exercises will be fine. I have like 8 set up, but we really only need, excuse me, we really only need like 4. So let's go ahead and get through this. Okay. Number 1, Susan had become interested in a career as a chemist after her professor and blank, so she or her, had worked on a research project together. So so here's how we're going to do this. I'm going to pause the video. I want you to pause the video for a few seconds, and then I'll show the hint that's provided here. Then I'll pause the video for another few seconds, and then you choose, and then I'll tell you the answer. So it's going to be like this. So for example, pause the video for a few seconds before I show the hint. So pause right now. Okay, so if you have the answer already, good. But if not, I'll show you the hint anyway. So here, the hint is, test your choice by removing the first half of the compound, that is, her professor. This is a good way to test all compound subjects and objects. And I actually talked about this earlier, if you remember. So again, try to think. I'll leave the hint here for you guys. So pause the video and figure it out. Okay, so let's take that hint away. So the answer here is she. Susan had become interested in a career as a chemist after her professor and she had worked on the research project altogether. If you take out her professor, then it would be Susan had become interested in a career. Actually, here, let me annotate. So if you take out her and professor and the word and, then you would just have Susan had become interested in a career as a chemist after she had worked on the research project together. So it can only be she. It can't be her. Her makes no sense here. So again, if you have 2 or more subjects, just remove the other subjects and then you have your answer. Only she can work. So now that you know that, let's go to the next question. Oops. Okay. Number 2, a non-golfer cannot understand our or us needing to play once a month, even during the winter. So pause the video before I show the hints. So pause it for a few seconds. Okay, so I'll show the hint now. Pronouns before gerunds, ing words used as nouns, must use the possessive case. Wow, that was a really helpful hint. Not really much of a hint though, because it kind of just, well, whatever. Anyway, just pause the video and think of the answer. It really shouldn't be too hard since the hint just, helps you a lot. So pause the video. Okay, so the correct answer is, as the hint just told you, hour. A non-golfer cannot understand our needing to play once a month, even during the winter. So here it's hour, because needing to play once a month belongs to us. So we have to use our to show possession. Okay, next question. And there are only 10 questions? Yeah, 10 questions. Number 3, we or us students need to learn to collaborate more if we want to prepare for the business world. So we have to choose between we and us. So pause the video and think of the answer. Okay, so let's look at the hint. Test your choice by removing the noun students. Okay, so here I actually didn't mention this method. So if you have something like we or us before a noun like this, remove the noun after we and us, and then you should have your answer. So that's actually a good trick. So again, pause the video and figure out the answer. Okay, so the correct answer here is we, because again, take out the students here and only we makes sense, right? Only we makes sense. Us doesn't make any sense. You can't say us need to learn to collaborate more. You have to say we need to learn to collaborate more. So the answer is we. Okay, next question. After about a month, that puppy would follow my brother and me or I everywhere. So pause the video and think of the answer. Okay, so the correct, oh, wait, no, sorry, I should show the hint first. Test your choice by removing the first half of the compound. That is my brother. This is a good way to test all compound subjects or objects, and I already talked about this. So, but here we have compound objects instead of compound subjects. So pause the video and think of the answer. Okay, so if we take out my brother and the word and, we just have me and I. And in this case, you would say that puppy would follow me everywhere and not I. I makes zero sense here. You can't say the puppy would follow my brother. You can't say that puppy would follow I everywhere. You can't say that. You have to say that puppy would follow me everywhere. So in other words, the sentence should read, after about a month, that puppy would follow my brother and me everywhere. And somehow people sometimes mess this up. They just have a hard time understanding the difference between me and I. But that's what this video is for. And the previous video. Like there are two parts to this lesson. So the correct answer should be me. Awesome. Okay. Number 5. Our us studying as a group turned out to be a good idea. So we have to choose between our and us. So pause the video and try to think of the answer. Okay, so let's look at the hint. Pronouns before gerunds, ing words used as noun must use a possessive case. Wow, another hint that basically just gives you a big help. I'll just phrase it like that. So again, pause the video and think. Okay, so the answer here is our, because studying as a group belongs to us. It's an action that belongs to us, so we need the possessive case. Our studying as a group turned out to be a good idea, not us studying as a group turned out to be a good idea. That's not right. It has to be our. But again, people will often say us instead because, you know, the possessive case, possessive gerunds aren't really used that often in these contexts anyway. In other contexts, like, how's my driving, or did you like my dancing? In those cases, you'd use the possessive case. But in other cases, such as our studying as a group turned out to be a good idea, or my being here is important, you know, you people would use the objective case instead of the possessive case. They just do. I don't know why. Um. Anyway, oh, well, obviously it's because the possessive case sounds a bit stilted, but I don't know why people stopped doing that. That's basically what I'm saying. But again, language changes, so whatever. So I won't say that us is wrong in a sense. It's not. It's not right to call it wrong. It's just that it's not precise. It's not as precise as our. Anyway, number 6. My roommate likes football better than I or me. So meaning the roommate is the bigger football fan. I didn't actually explain this, but be careful with this one. So it's easy to think that, I'll give you a little hint here. It's easy to think that than is acting as a preposition here, but it's not. So it's not acting as a preposition here. So with that in mind, pause the video and think about the answer. Okay, so let's show the hints. This comparison is elliptical or incomplete. Try explaining it to find the proper pronoun. So dot, 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 better than blank like football. So what this hint means here is, and let me put an example here. So let's say he likes football better than me. Or no, let's say better than blank. Versus he likes football better than. So let's say that you choose either I or me. So in the first one, a lot of people would say, oh, he likes football better than me. In this case, it should be, but is that actually correct? Because you look at the second one, he likes football better than blank do. You wouldn't use me there, you would use I. So knowing that, what would the answer be for this? And if you find the answer to this, then you find the answer to the question. So pause the video and think about it. Okay, so the correct answer here would be I. He likes football better than I. Because you could actually add a verb after that. He likes football better than I do. And it would still be I. So because this here requires I, so does this. He likes football better than I. He likes football better than I do. So erase all of that, and the answer should be I. Now, again, people would often say me. Using I in this case is a little stuffy. So using me isn't wrong, but the more precise way to say it is I. So here we're talking about what's precise and sometimes what's standard English too. Okay. Number 7, the professor would nod encouragingly at whoever or whomever tried to answer her complex questions. So if you remember, at the end of the last lesson, I explained this question. So again, try to think about the answer. Pause the video. Okay, so the correct answer would be, oh wait, no, I need to show the hint first, I'm sorry. So remember, I taught, this hint is speaking of a trick that I taught you guys at the very end of the last part of this lesson, the previous part. So isolate the clause, X tried to answer, and replace X with pronouns such as he or him. Which works, the subjective he or the objective him? So based on this test, use the corresponding subjective whoever or objective whomever. So think about it. So if you take out the first part, the professor would nod encouragingly at. If you take out this part right here, let me not use that actually. If you take this part out, then you just have whoever or whomever try to answer her complex questions. So here we have this clause, which needs a subject and a verb. So which one would work? Whoever or whomever? Because that's what this hint is talking about. So pause the video and think. Okay, so the correct answer is whoever. Because remember what I told you? If you isolate the clause, whoever tried to answer complex questions, it needs a subject and a verb. The verb is tried, but the subject would have to be whoever and not whomever, because whomever can't be the subject of a clause. So thus, whoever is the only answer that makes sense. So the professor would nod encouragingly at whoever tried to answer her complex questions. Okay, number 8. The two winners of the first round of the trivia game, Michelle and I or me, would go on to play in the bonus round. This is also potentially tricky, so think about it. So pause the video. Okay, so let's look at the hint. Try mentally reducing the sentence to X would go on to play, which is what I was about to suggest. So going back to this previous sentence, ignore the first part of the sentence. So Pretend that this part doesn't exist. And pretend that the comma here isn't there. So here you just have Michelle and I or me would go on to play in the bonus round. So that should make things easier. And if that still doesn't make any sense, go ahead and further remove Michelle and the word and. So now you should have your answer. You just have this part right here. What would make sense, I or me? So pause the video and think. In this case, it would be I would go on to play in the bonus round. So I is the only choice that makes sense. You wouldn't say me would go on to the bonus round, go on to play the bonus round. That doesn't make any sense. You would use I. So knowing that, the whole sentence should read, the two winners of the first round of the trivia game, Michelle and I, would go on to play in this bonus round. So the answer here is I. Let me make sure I answered everything. Yep, okay. Okay, two more questions. Employers should consider providing we or us students with more internship opportunities over the summer. Okay, well, which one should it be? We or us? Pause the video and think. Okay, let's look at the hints. Test your choice by removing the noun students. Okay, so let's remove this word here, students. Now we just have we and us. So which is the correct answer here? So pause the video and think. It would actually be we. I'm sorry, not we, us. I said we. It should be us. It's us. Because here we have the direct object of the sentence. So us is the direct object of the action providing, should consider providing. So the whole sentence would be, employers should consider providing us with more internship opportunities over the summer. And if we put back the noun students, we have, employers should consider providing us students with more internship opportunities over the summer. So in this case, us makes sense. Okay, last one. Since we were lucky enough to have a four-wheel drive vehicle, we decided to help whoever or whomever we could during the snowstorm. Okay, so if you remember what I talked about earlier, this shouldn't be very hard for you regarding whoever and whomever. So pause the video and think. Okay, let's look at the hints. Isolate the clause decided to help X and replace X with the pronouns such as he and him. Which works? The subject, he or him. Which works? The subject he or the objective him. Based on this test, use the corresponding subjective whoever or objective whomever. So if you remember, if you focus on this part only, we decide to help blank, then that should make sense. It should be obvious which one you should use. So we have a direct object here. And so what would that require? So pause the video and think. Is it whoever or whomever? So pause the video. Okay, so the correct answer is whomever, because again, whomever is a direct object of the verb, the verb phrase, I should say, decided to help. So we should use whomever. So the sentence would be, since we were lucky enough to have a four-wheel drive vehicle, we decided to help whomever we could during the snowstorm. Okay, so that should be everything. And if we check our answers, we get a 100%. We answered 10 out of 10 questions correctly, and we got a 100%. And of course, the pass mark was 80, but we went way over that, so we're good. Okay, so that's that exercise. there are more exercises that I wanted to do, actually. Oh, you know what? Oh, I wanted to do like 2 more. You know what? That's okay. We'll just go ahead and do 2 more, like really fast. Okay, so let's do this one first. And this time I'm not going to bother explain the logic of everything. Just, I'm just going to say, okay, is this the answer or is this the answer? And then you guys just figure it out. Then I'll just say, okay, this is the answer. Okay, so for this exercise, we have to choose the correct pronoun for each sentence below. We have to read the entire sentence before making our choice. Then when we are finished, we just click check my work. Click on the check my work button at the bottom of the page to check your answers, our answers. Okay, number 1, 5 of blank took a cab to the play. So pause the video and think. Okay, so the answer here is us. Okay, next question. Are you and blank attending the meeting? That really should be a question mark right there. But it was a typo, I can see that was a typo. Okay, so anyway, pause the video and think. Okay, so it should be, are you and they attending the meeting? Number 3, no one is more concerned about the matter than, she, her, or herself. So pause the video and think. Okay, so the answer here would be she. Sorry, I almost picked the wrong one there. The answer here would be she. Because, finish the sentence, no one is more concerned about the matter than she is. So add that verb at the end and you have your answer. Okay, number 4. Blank can I go out with tonight? So who or whom? Pause the video and think. Okay, so the correct answer here would be whom. Whom can I go out with tonight? Because I is already the subject of the sentence. So who can't be the subject? It has to be whom. Whom has to be the object. So we can't have, we already have a subject here, and it's not a compound subject, so whom can only be objective. So whom can I go out with tonight? Or with whom can I go out tonight? So that's your answer, whom. Number 5, Margaret and I blank hope to be, it would be I, me, or myself. Okay, so which one is it? So pause the video and think. Okay, so the answer would be Margaret and I hope to be roommates. Number 6, the committee told Smith and blank to write a new resolution. So which one is it? They, them, or themselves? Pause the video. Okay, so it'd be the committee told Smith and them to write a new resolution. Okay, number 7, is he the one for blank the note is intended? And again, that should be a question mark, but it was probably a typo. Okay, so pause the video and think. Okay, so in this case, the answer would be whom. Is he the one for whom the note is intended? Okay, number 8. We discovered that it was blank who started the fire. So pause the video and think. So we discovered that it was they who started the fire. Number 9, everyone asked Joan and blank to speak at the convention. So which one would it be? Okay, so the correct answer here is everyone asked Joan and him to speak at the convention. Okay, last one, number 10. A person as young as blank should not be given too much responsibility. And here's a hint for this one. As here is a conjunction, not a preposition. And it follows the same logic as than right here. So knowing that, pause the video and think of the answer. She, her, or herself. Okay, so the correct answer here is she, because again, it's the same logic as than. A person as young as she is, if you add that verb is, or any other verb, then you can see why it's she and not her. So let's check our work. So the correct answer is us for number 1. Our answer was us. So they, she, whom, I, them, whom, they, him, she. So we got everything correct. Not bad if I do say so myself. And of course, not just me, but everyone else who answered correctly. Okay, so that's that exercise. So now we're going to do one more exercise before I stop the meeting. Okay. Okay, so we have pronoun cases. Oops, let me move that out of the way. Okay, so we have pronoun case. Let me use this one actually. Not do that, because I have like multiple exercises here that I have saved up, and I'd be doing them with people, but you know, crap happened in the last stream, so I'm not going to worry about that. I just don't want to take that chance. Anyway, so now we have comparisons. Well, you know, with than, with the conjunctions than and as, which is what I was talking about earlier. So let's read this and then quickly do the lesson. So a pronoun is a word that takes the place of a noun. Unlike nouns, pronouns change their form depending on what they are doing in the sentence. As a result, writers are often confused about whether to use a subject pronoun, I, he, she, we, they, or an object pronoun, me, him, her, us, them. They are even more confused when the pronoun follows a comparison, so like than or as. In the comparisons below, choose the correct subject or object pronoun. Tip: words are usually left out of sentences with comparisons. To choose the correct pronoun, complete the comparison by mentally adding the missing words, which is what we've been doing. For instance, when the words in brackets are added to the following examples, it becomes easier to see what pronoun is needed. So Ted is as tall as I, brackets am. You gave a bigger piece of cake to Sylvia than you gave to brackets and then me. So you gave to is surrounded by brackets, and am is surrounded by brackets. So in the first case, you'd have I, because Ted is as tall as I am. But in the second case, you have me because you gave a bigger piece of cake to Sylvie than you gave to me. So not I, this case. So if you fill in those missing words here, you gave to, then you should see that it's me. So with than and as, you could have either a subject pronoun or an object pronoun. So, so be careful about that. Okay. So let's do this exercise. Number 1, this will hurt you more than, okay, which one? So pause the video and think. In this case, it will be me. Because if you finish the sentence, you'd have, and let me type it out. This will hurt you more than, and then I'll put the missing words in brackets. So again, add missing words if you're not sure. And then me. So see, this will hurt you more than it will hurt me. So here we have that it will hurt put into the sentence, and we can clearly see that it's me and not I. The answer is me. And let me erase that. Lino, is it Lino or Lino? I'll just say Lionel. Lionel was more gifted in languages than, okay, so it's either they or them. Pause the video and think. So the answer here would be they. Because remember the trick? Lionel was more gifted in languages than they were. So add a missing word. So in this case, you would add so here add a verb. So here were is added. And you can see now that the only answer that makes sense is they. Oops, I said Link. I meant Lino. Or Lino, whatever. Lino was more gifted in languages than they blank were. Than they were. So here they is the only one that makes sense. Number 3, no one can bake an apple pie better than. Okay, so pause the video and think. Is it she or her? Okay, so the correct answer is she. And I'm not going to try to explain the logic of all of these. I only explained the logic for the first two, but again, just fill in missing words and you'll get the idea. Put in missing word, just add some extra words, and then you'll get the idea of what the answer should be. Number 4, Brian felt neglected because his father spent more time with others than blank. So pause the video and think of the answer. Is it he or him? So the correct answer here is him. Because Brian felt neglected because his father spent more time with others than with him. So with is a preposition, and pronouns that are used with prepositions have to be in the objective case. It's the same thing with number 3. No one can bake an apple pie. Well, actually, number 3 is different. With number 3, it's no one can bake an apple pie better than she. But if you add the verb can, it would be no one can bake an apple pie better than she can. So again, add those missing words, and you'll have your answer. Number 5, this tonic helped us as much as they or them. So pause the video and think of the answer. So the answer here would be them. Because add some extra words to the sentence. So this tonic helped us as much as it helped them. And now you can see why it's them. So number 6, the people in the study lost as much weight as we or us. So pause the video and choose the right answer. Okay, so the answer here is we. So finish the sentence. The people in the study lost as much weight as we did. So now you can see why it's we and not us. Okay, last question, and then I'm going to stop the lesson. Number 7, although she has a tiny frame, she can eat as much as blank. He or him. So pause the video and choose. Okay, so the correct answer here is he. Because if you finish the sentence, you'll have this. Although she has a tiny frame, she can eat as much as he can. So it's he and not him. So let's submit our answers. We have 7 out of 7 answers correct. So we got everything right. So, yep, the first one is me, the second one is they, the third one is she, the fourth one is him, the fifth one is them, the sixth one is we, and the seventh one is he. And you can see that they have tips and explanations here. So this is the tip and explanation for number 1, for number 2, for question number 3, for question number 4, for question number 5, for question number 6, and for question number 7. So as you can see, pronoun case isn't really that hard to understand. At first, it might be a bit challenging, but over time, you'll learn the correct forms to use. And if you understand pronoun case in English, you actually can understand pronoun case in German because it's a very similar concept. So if you want to learn German at some point in the future and you don't know how pronoun cases work, well, if you understand how pronoun cases in English work, then you are already well on your way to understanding German, or even noun cases in German, because noun cases in German, they follow a similar concept to the pronouns in German. So if you understand the English case system for pronouns, you'll understand the German case system for pronouns, because a lot of it is just really the same thing. So that is, okay, so that is, let me erase this. So that's the end of the lesson, everyone. Hopefully I covered everything I could cover. Thank you all for watching. And until next time, goodbye.